Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, my humble obeisances to you all, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you all for joining. I welcome you all to His Holiness Candramauli Swami Maharaj's daily class. Today we are going to continue the Srimad Bhagavatam series of first canto, 13th chapter, Dhritarashtra quits home, verse number 29. Hare Krishna Maharaj, my humble obeisances to you all, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for your time and association. You can please take over, Good Maharaj. Can I request you to please switch on your light, Maharaj, near you, so that it will...
I have a light behind me, but you can't switch. The sun is coming beaming through the
It's
window.
not, yeah, it's behind you, Maharaj, but if it is any light before you,
Well,
if that is uncomfortable, then that's okay.
it's a little difficult, only because I don't have any, I got a tiny little light on the desk.
Yeah, because from Zoom, when we see you that you are in a little dark. Yeah.
How's that?
Yes, it's better. Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you.
Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Evam Raja Vidurena Nudena. Pragya Chatur Bodhita Arjanidaha. Kidvasvesu Sneha Prasangradimno Randimno Nischa Namon Bhartprir Pradarsitadvad Sitadvad Pradarsitadvad. Translation. Thus, Maharaj Dhritarashtra, the skin of the family of Ajamida, firmly convinced by introspective knowledge, pragya, broke at once the strong network of familial affection by his resolute determination, by his resolved determination. Thus, he immediately left home to set on the path of liberation, as directed by his younger brother, Vidura. Purport: Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the great preacher of the principles of Srimad Bhagavatam, has stressed the importance of association with sadhus, pure devotees of the Lord. He said, even by a moment's association with a pure devotee, one can achieve perfection. We are not ashamed to admit that this fact was experienced in our practical life. We were not favored by his divine grace. Were we not favored by his divine grace, Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, by our first meeting for a few minutes only, it would have been impossible for us to accept this mighty task of describing Srimad Bhagavatam in English. Without seeing him at the opportune moment, we could have become a great business magnate. But never would we have been able to walk the path of liberation and be engaged in the factual service of the Lord under instructions of his divine grace. And here is another practical example by the action of Vidura's association with Dhritarashtra. Maharaj Dhritarashtra was tightly bound in a network of material affinities related to politics and economy and family attachment. And he did everything in his power to achieve so-called success in his planned projects. But he was frustrated from the beginning to the end so far as material activities were concerned. And yet, despite his life of failure, he achieved the greatest of all success in self-realization by the forceful instructions of a pure devotee of the Lord, who was a typical emblem of a sadhu. The scriptures enjoin, therefore, that one should associate with sadhus only, rejecting all other kinds of association. By doing so, one will have ample opportunity to hear the sadhus who can cut to pieces the bonds of illusionary affection in the material world. It is a fact that the material world is a great illusion because everything appears to be tangible reality, but the next moment evaporates like the dashing foams of the sea or a cloud in the sky. The cloud in the sky undoubtedly appears to be a reality because it rains, but due to rains, so many temporary green things appear, but in the ultimate issue, everything disappears, namely the cloud, rain, and green vegetation, all in due course. But the sky remains, and the varieties of sky or luminaries also remain forever. Similarly, the absolute truth, which is compared to the sky, remains eternally, and the temporary cloud-like illusions come and go away. Foolish living entities, foolish living beings are attracted by the temporary cloud, and intelligent men are more concerned with the eternal sky, with all its variegatedness. And the Gyan Timidandasya Jana Salokam Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shubha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Name Namaste Shri Deve Gauravani Pachari Nivose Sasunya Vandi Astat Yadaya Sataya Vanchakalpa Tarubhasya Kripa Sindhuve Vachapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare. Yes, says that everyone in life has good fortune, but that good fortune may remain hidden. It may appear in this life, it may appear in the next life, but it will appear, especially due to the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because of Mahaprabhu's mercy, the process of bhakti is readily available, even in this most difficult age, Kali Yuga, which is characterized by lying, cheating, nepotism, and various types, enmity and envy, and various types of bickering over trifles, or even wars over very small events that may have occurred. Very difficult age. Therefore, the greater the difficulty, the more mercy upon the citizens of the world. And therefore, in this age, Mahaprabhu has made it available that he has opened up the door to Krishna consciousness very widely. And that door swings open when we come in contact with a sadhu, or a representative of the Lord, who has come on behalf of the Lord to give the good fortune that everyone is looking for. People may not see it that way, but that is actually true. The process of bhakti is the topmost achievement for the human being, because it fulfills all of one's desires perfectly, completely, eternally. And that is, it brings us to our pure natural consciousness of eternal loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the cause of all causes. And Mahaprabhu has given an extra special feature of that. He has brought that personality of Godhead in his most sweetest of all aspects of his manifestations, his mood of Vrindavan, where he appears as a beautiful cowherd boy playing on the flute, surrounded by many of his associates who are constantly absorbed in loving service to him. And so if one somehow can recognize in a very complete way that this is what I'm looking for, although I've been traversing Maya Davase, Nacho Base, Nacho Bubu Dubai, Krishna Da, Hey Vishwas, Torina Dukanai. We've been wandering in this material world life after life. This is not our first life in this world. We have been through thousands of different species of life. When the living entity falls, it falls into the area of the aquatics. And from the aquatics, one gradually evolves according to the programmed evolutionary system given by material nature under the guidance of the Lord. And after going through the species of aquatics, one comes to insects, and then trees, birds, creepers, various types of plants. From there, it goes higher up to birds, and then from birds to four-legged animals, and then eventually coming to the human form of life. So, although we don't remember, and it's not even possible for us to remember any of these births because there is complete forgetfulness of the soul's relationship with each of those bodies, we can accept it because it is the word of God, it is the word of Scripture, and Scripture is the truth that God gives to the human culture to understand Him and understand the process of achieving Him, and plus many other aspects of our existence, who we were, where we were, what we were doing. Everything is there in Vedic society, Vedic knowledge. So when one gets to the human form of life, then that's a discriminating factor. One can think, how should I live my life in order to become happy? And therefore one connects themselves with different programs as presented by one's society, family, and country to achieve some kind of happiness. And that goes on. And it also, as it mentions here, all of the arrangements of the material energy are ephemeral. No matter how long-lasting they may appear in terms of relative time, still they're temporary. And because we are eternal, we are not temporary. We've been through so many species of life. We've been in the material world for millions of births, which means countless amounts of years. That means that, we've not only been where we are now, but we've been into so many other situations in life where we were engaged in eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Now we have this human form of life. So now one has a chance to make the solution to all the problems of life and fulfill one desires perfectly and completely. And what is that desire? That desire is for unlimited and continuous happiness. And that can only be experienced in relationships. We try to find those relationships in this world, and we may also find some temporary satisfaction in some relationships that we develop, whether it's with family members, friends, or people within our same culture and society. But then those things are also subject to the time element, and then they will be gone after some time. But we will continue to live on. And so therefore, it says that if we can make a solution to this coming and going in this material world, Maya Ravase, Tacho Basing, life after life, we've been in different species, performing the same activities in maybe a slightly different way. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, and developing relationships in order to improve those four basic activities of the human society, or any society, not just human society, any society. So here, if one comes in contact with a great soul, that is called one's good fortune. Just like it mentions, Cheto, Darpana Marjanam, Bhavan Mahadevagya Nirvapanam, Sreya Kaiva Vichandrika Avritanam. The first verse of the Shikshastika, Lord Chaitanya is Shreya Taiva Vikananam. Shreya, what is that Shreya? What is that auspiciousness? That is very auspicious. That is our good fortune. What is our good fortune? To come in contact with the process of pure devotional service. Particularly, this verse is emphasizing the chanting of the holy name, but it also applies to one's good fortune. And what is that good fortune? To take up devotional service. And here we see Dhritarashtra, he's elderly, he's quite old, he's been through life, he's had children, he has a wife, friends, relatives, he's been experiencing different situations in life. But now his good fortune finally, although it was there before, he couldn't recognize it. But finally, after hearing from this sadhu, who actually turned out to be his younger brother, it went to the heart. Sometimes we hear the truth over and over again, but it doesn't go to the heart. It goes to the head, spins around. Sometimes we forget it because of our other desires in life. But if we keep hearing about who we are and what is our relationship with the Lord in devotion, and we continue to work in that way, then the realization of everything that we hear becomes manifested clearly. Yes, I know I am not this body, although I have a body. I know that this world is a place of suffering, and I have experienced it. I know that coming in contact with the Supreme Lord is the ultimate success in life. But how much do I actually know on the level of vigyan, or realization? Have I realized it yet? Even if I haven't realized it, if I act upon it, the realization will eventually manifest. But when you hear it, and you get a realization from that hearing, then there is no doubt. Just like we hear quite often through the scriptures, through the sadhus and others, that we are not this body, or something different than the body that we inhabit. Body is really given to us. It's like somebody gives you something, that doesn't mean that thing is you. Somebody will give you a car, say maybe, or you will buy a car, and the car becomes a very big part of your life. It helps you in so many ways. But you don't think, I'm the car. So in the same way, this body is synonymous with, and analogous with, a vehicle. It's a vehicle to bring us closer to Krishna, or devotional service. Therefore, it has value, but it's not me. And to live simply to satisfy the needs and demands of the body without looking seriously in the process of self-realization is simply shrama eva hi kevalam. The scriptures define that, yes, whatever we may be doing in life is very nice, but if it doesn't bring us to the goal of life, then it's a waste of time. I was reading today how people live simply to satisfy the senses. But the scriptures say, Tasyaiko hetu pradite natovida, nalavyate padvamakami paryaga. Now lavyate bhutanava unyasukam kalena sarvatra gambira ramhasa. That you don't try for happiness, but you get it. You don't try for distress, you get it. Your happiness, your distress is already there at the time of your birth. You can't change how much happiness and how much material happiness and distress you are destined to get. That is fixed. But the materialists, they think, yes, I have to work hard. I have to achieve. I have to get this. I have to get this position. I have to get connected with that person. All of their plans are for improvement of their sense enjoyment. But you can't improve something that is already destined. So you may say, well, that doesn't make sense. We see that people make some efforts and they achieve something and then they become better off. From the external point of view, it appears like that. But happiness and distress is an allotment. It's like, say, when you're born, your parents put some money in a safe deposit for you. And then when you get a certain age, you get it. Like that. They do that. People do that sometimes. So that happiness and distress is there, and we're cashing in on it as we live in life, at least for the materialists. But they think by changing their situation, they can change how happiness and distress may appear and what form it appears in, but the quantity stays the same. And if they commit more sinful activities, they're compounding that stress more and more. And so a devotee doesn't worry about all these things. The devotee takes prasadam and goes on with their devotional service. Because they know all of the big plans that the materialists make in order to achieve a better situation in this world are like the riven cloud, the cloud that is flying by the wind. As it appears in front, it appears to be a cloud. And as it says here, may do good by giving rainfall to vegetation. But after some time, the wind will blow that cloud away and it will be no longer in existence. And the clouds are also dispersed by the power of the wind. So everything in this world is like that. It comes and it goes. So it's to work hard to make some kind of arrangement here is just diverting our attention from where we can find real happiness and real satisfaction. That is in bhakti. So one who takes up devotional service seriously, and you'll see Dhritarashtra, he does it. He got it. It says here, it says, this is firmly convinced by introspective knowledge. He at once broke the strong network of family affection by his resolute determination. So it doesn't say family affection was easy. It's a strong network. And he did it because the words of his well-wishing brother actually went right to his heart. It was like a dose of, it's like sometimes when you're chloroform, if you're unconscious, they give you chloroform. As soon as you breathe that in, it brings you immediately back to consciousness again. It's like instantaneous. So this dose of spiritual chloroform in the form of these words given by Vidura, which were aligned exactly to what was needed to be heard by his attached brother. And therefore his good fortune, now he's on his way. He's immediately, he didn't waste time. He didn't make big plans or make announcements or anything. He became so inclined to the instructions that it says here, he immediately left home along with his wife, Gandhari, and they both set out on the path of liberation. They went to a secluded place, and you'll hear more about that as this pastime unfolds. So you'll see how the power of a great soul, the association of a great soul, is so spiritually effective that it can break the bonds of one's material attachment. And material attachments simply lead to suffering because we can't fulfill them. They cause us to become attracted and attached, and then after some time, they will disappoint us. Everything in this world that we live for will leave us and disappoint us at one point. So that's okay. We're not worried about that. What we're worried about is that let me try to sadhu sangha, sarvasrasti, sadhu sangha. Let me seek out the association of great souls. For people who don't want their material attachment interfered with, they will avoid great souls. I had an experience just recently. One of my disciples, who I hadn't seen in a long time, came to where I was. It was an event, and I was surprised to see him. But he sat down in an area, and he didn't even turn his attention towards me at all. He acted like I wasn't there. And he stayed for a little while, got up and left, and when I went around looking for him, I saw he was gone. So that means he's afraid that I might say something to interfere with his sense gratification or do something. So we become somewhat averse to the association of great souls because we feel like, oh, what are they going to do? They're going to take away the things, my attachments, or try to take away. So let me avoid that. And therefore, the attachment will go anyway, whether it's taken away by you yourself voluntarily or it's forcibly ripped away by the element of time. But in any case, it'll go. Therefore, one's treasure in the Christian scripture, there's a nice statement. I think in Matthew, there's the books of Christianity: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. In Matthew, it says, do not put thy treasure in a place that can be corroded by rust, eaten by moths, or stolen by thieves. Put thy treasure in thy heart and bring thy heart to the kingdom of God. Very nice statement that people are putting their treasure in a place that is going to be destroyed in due course of time. And therefore, our real treasure is our love for God. When one can experience love of God, one will never look back towards anything in this world ever again. Even a slight taste of that loving experience with Krishna is so powerful that it will turn one's attention completely away from this material world. What to speak of getting a qualitative experience? Krishna gives us a little taste of his association, of his mercy, and we feel some happiness, we feel some satisfaction. But if we were to taste it to a larger degree, we would look at this world as being just like when I was a kid, I used to watch these television programs. And one was Frankenstein and the Wolfman. And usually was on late at night when everybody was usually sleeping. Usually they started the program around 11 o'clock at night. It would be a movie, a 2-hour movie. And they would play it regularly like sometime every night or every week. And it was a black and white movie. There was no color in it. This was black and white. Because in those days, colored TV was rare for people. This is back in the 60s. And so you would watch it, and then you would watch it again, and because there was nothing on that late at night except that same movie. So you'd watch it back so many times. And you could actually start to understand what's happening every minute, even before it's happening, because you'd watch it. I think I watched it 33 times, the same movie. It was just the same black and white movie. This is after a while, it lost all its flavor because you knew what was going to happen and you saw it so many times. So material life is like that. It's like a repeated black and white movie. Jayadvaita Maharaj has written in this book called Vanity Fair. And the essence of it, it has a certain spiritual twist to it. I mean, it has a powerful spiritual twist, but it connects somewhat with spirituality in both the Jewish and the Christian tradition. And one of the themes of Vanity Fair is there's nothing new under the sun. There's nothing new under the sun. So in material life, in order for people to continue to try to enjoy, they take the same thing and try to restructure it in a different way and call it new. But it's the same thing. It's the same old thing. That's it. It's just like whether you watch the black and white movie in your home alone, or you watch it in a movie theater, or you watch it with your friends, it's the same thing. You can do the same thing in different ways, but it's the same thing. That's material life. Because there's no juice in material life, so you have to take the same thing. Just like sex life. People like to try sex life in different ways with different people, and they think it's different. But it's the same old thing. It's like, for example, there was that one particular pastime. It's in the scriptures, a little story where one leper, he had a nice wife. He was a leper, but he got attracted to this one particular prostitute. But she was very high class and very expensive. And his wife was very chaste and faithful. And she knew her husband was interested in this prostitute. So she wanted to satisfy her husband. So she went to the prostitute and did some service for the prostitute. So that would help, offset high cost of her services. So the prostitute could understand that this one woman is very chaste and she's very faithful to her husband. And she wanted to teach her husband a little something. So he said, all right, you bring your husband, come tomorrow night, and I'll be here. So she made the notice to her husband. And so the man was a little excited. He came. And before, she offered her services, she cooked him a meal. And when she cooked the meal, she placed the food in 3 different pots. One was a leaf plate, very simple leaf plate, like they eat in India. And one was a wooden plate, and one was a golden plate. So she put the food, all the food in 3 separate plates and served all 3 plates to the same person, to the man who came. So he's thinking, what is she doing? Why is she serving the same food in 3 different containers? The same food. And so he just had to express his bewilderment. And so he did. And the prostitute then gave the sharp words. You have a nice wife. Go home. It's all the same. You have a nice wife. Go home. It's all the same. And then that woke him up. So yeah, material life is like that. People try different varieties of the same thing, but it's all the same. The pleasure is not different. It's just presented in different ways to attract the conditioned souls to think it's different or it's better. But it's all the same. And it's all temporary, and it all leads away from looking for real happiness. There's this nice story in the scriptures in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where one astrologer, his name was Sarvagya. Gya means knowledge, Sarva means all. This astrologer was called Sarvagya. He had all knowledge. So one man came to Sarvagya and he wanted to know where his good fortune was. And Sarvagya gave him the answer in a more cryptic way. He said, if you dig, go out and find a place, and if you dig in the northern direction, you'll get stung by bees, wasps, and various types of insects that will cause you irritation. If you dig in the southern direction, you will come in contact with a ghost who will just cause you much trouble mentally and physically. If you dig in the western direction, you will come to a person who will steal everything that you have. But if you dig in the eastern direction, you will find your treasure. I'm paraphrasing the story. So the answer was eastern direction was simply material life, trying to enjoy sense gratification. When you try to enjoy sense gratification, there's always some pain and suffering that comes along with it. These are the bees and the wasps. If you dig in the southern direction, there's a ghost who will haunt you and cause you various types of problems. And that means if you take up jnana yoga, you will not be able to achieve your success, and you will also again lose your position. And then that ghost will just give you a lot of mental and physical distress. And if you dig in the western direction, you'll come to the monists and the yogis, you will think that you have achieved something, but this yoga he's talking about Mayavadi yoga, will make you think that you are God, and then you will lose everything that you tried for, pretending that you can actually become God. But if you go dig in the eastern direction, you will find your treasure, and that's where bhakti is. So, and that's a nice little story. You can look it up in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. There might be some adjustments in detail to what I said. I'm doing it by memory. But you'll find that, yeah, anywhere you go in this world, if it's not towards Krishna in devotional service, you will get disappointed and find out you're either wasting time or get a lot of trouble in trying to achieve whatever you're trying to achieve. But if you go to bhakti, bhakti is, especially in this age, with Lord Chaitanya's special mercy, it's so nice. Chant the holy names of the Lord. Read and try to understand Srimad Bhagavatam. Discuss Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita with your friends and others. And then learn the philosophy, which will give you mental and spiritual satisfaction. Take nice foods offered to the Lord Krishna Prasadam, offered to the deity with devotion. Worship the Lord in his beautiful form as he appears, as Krishna, as Radharani, as Vishnu, as Narayan, in all of his manifestations, which gives satisfaction to the heart and ear and awakens one's devotion. And chant the holy names of the Lord. And sing, Prabhupada said, sing, dance, and be happy. As Shiva Ram Maharaj was saying, sing, dance. He said, but Prabhupada said, be jubilant. He used the word jubilant. Jubilant is an interesting word. It's happiness, but in a very, what we say, enthusiastic way. That happiness is overflowing. It's just pouring out of you in a very profuse way, jubilancy. So this is Krishna consciousness. And so, therefore, we've been given that opportunity by the grace of Krishna and his representative, Srila Prabhupada. We take advantage of that, then we will understand, yes, this is what I've been looking for. I have found what I've been searching for millions of lifetimes. Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you so much for the powerful class, amazing points, lot of reminders. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dear devotees, if you have any questions or comments, you can raise your hand or type in chat window. I can read it for you. Please turn on your cameras if possible. Thank you so much. Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, the whole essence of this lecture, I understood that it's very difficult, very, very difficult to break the material attachment or the family network, as how Dhritarashtra felt. So it's really challenging thing. Even though we hear so many times, our mind is stuck there only. I feel that way. But it's very difficult, Guru Maharaj, yeah, Maharaj, to accept this and leave sense gratification and move ahead and follow this self-realization path. It's very difficult.
Well, it's difficult and it's easy too. Go to Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 8th chapter, verse number 30.
Yes,
And I think I could answer your question, but this verse answers better than I could answer.
Verse number 30?
Yes, 4:8:30.
Okay. Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah. Keep going down. Now you have decided to undertake the mystic process of meditation under the instructions of your mother. So this is Narada Muni speaking to Dhruva. Just to achieve the mercy of the Lord, but in my opinion, such austerities are not possible for an ordinary man. It is very difficult to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport: the process of Bhakti Yoga is simultaneously very difficult and very easy to perform. Okay, Here's a somewhat of a contradictory statement. The process of bhakti yoga is simultaneously very difficult and very easy to perform. Sri Narada Muni, the supreme spiritual master, is testing Dhruva Maharaj to see how determined he is to prosecute devotional service. This is the process of accepting a disciple. So what he's saying is that the spiritual master has to test the disciple to see whether the disciple is really sincere to accept the process. The great sage Narada has come to Dhruva under the directions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead just to initiate him. Yet he is testing Dhruva's determination to execute the process. It is a fact, however, that for a sincere person, devotional service is very easy. One who is not determined and sincere, this process is very difficult.
Mm.
So then you might say, well, what is that determination? What is that sincerity that I need to acquiesce in order to make the process? Determination is fortified by association, good association. Mm-hmm. And then it becomes easy or easier. When we have that good association, Dhritarashtra would have never got out of his situation. He was surrounded by relatives, friends, and others, and he could have lived his life out as an old man, just finishing his last days, and they would have took care of him on a personal level. But Vidura knew that wasn't for his benefit. The benefit was to take up spiritual life in a serious way. So he got the association he needed in order to break him from that attachment. So we have to seek out that association. Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Sastri Hoy, Lavamakta Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. Now we can hear regularly from the great souls. But when we associate with them personally, there's an extra element of mercy that comes by that personal association. We get to do some service for them. We get to ask our questions directly. We get the answers. We also get the chance to see their qualities and see how those qualities are the foundation for their execution of devotional service. And we can also see that I would like to adopt these same qualities. So association is foundational in moving us forward, both in happiness, satisfaction, and particularly in determination. So if we're taking sufficient association, then we should continue to do that and continue to make advancement in that. If we are not getting enough association, then we should try to change and see what we can do to increase the quality and the quantity of that association. If we're very strong in our spiritual life, then we can associate directly through the sound vibrations coming from the scriptures and coming from the audio media, listening to various tapes and videos. But if we're not so strong, and we're easily moved towards material attachments, or we're not feeling happy in our Krishna consciousness, then we need to move forward to get that association. So you have to decide. The most important thing is, am I satisfied in my Krishna consciousness? Am I making nice advancement? And if you are, then continue to do it in that way. But there's always ways to want to say, what's the word? Hit the fast track. As Prabhupada said, you can become Krishna conscious in 1 second, or it can take you millions of lifetimes. Yes, that's the way Krishna consciousness works. So the fast track is sadhu sangha. Associating with devotees, hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord, and serving in that environment.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah.
If we're living in Grihastha life, then all we can do is somehow or other take care of our responsibilities and connect everything to devotional service. But that's the slow process. And it also has effect. But therefore, one of our features in our Krishna conscious society is programs. Going to programs, going to kirtan programs, going to seminar programs. We have programs all the time. But we shouldn't go to programs just as a participant to get a little enjoyment. We should go there to learn something, to grow, to associate, to see how we can increase our Krishna consciousness.
Yes, Maharaj. Yeah, a lot of programs happening around us all the time. Yeah, as you said, definitely. Yeah, understood.
It's Krishna's mercy. That's Lord Chaitanya's mercy.
Yes. But I see devotees, or lot of devotees, they do multitasking like all the time. One step, one leg on devotional service, one leg on material things. So these are the examples which I see around all the time, Maharaj. So in that way, so everyone, even the neophytes or the new people, they come, they also think that, okay, this is the way of the life, or this is the way how we can do also what is there. We can do our things and do this also. Like they are always into two things, always, Maharaj. Like, I don't know whether they are serious in devotional service or not. It's very difficult to find out if the situation is like this, I believe.
Yeah, it's also very hard to understand each person, but you can tell by their symptoms.
Mm.
If a devotee is actually happy, then you can say they're Krishna conscious, they're doing good.
Mm.
If you're not happy, I always say, if you're not happy, you're in Maya.
Mm.
Because the nature of the soul is Sat Chit Ananda. So the soul is by nature continuously happy. So Krishna consciousness is about being happy. It doesn't mean the happiness is an internal experience that the devotee has that is satisfying. The devotee is satisfied in every situation. Sometimes you see preachers appear to be a little dissatisfied, but that's part of their preaching mood, because people are not, or they have to work in such a way as to think of ways to attract people to come. And so they appear to be a little bit dissatisfied, but not really. It just appears that way. Because they're working hard to figure out ways to attract the conditioned souls. But for their own spiritual practice, they're satisfied.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you. I took a lot of time. Yeah. Sridevi Mataji, please go ahead. Thank you, Maharaj.
I'm here. I'm doing something.
Sure. Yes, Maharaj. Sridevi Mataji, you can ask your question. If you have it.
Thank you. Dear Guru Maharaj, my humble obeisances, all glories to Prabhupada. So, Guru Maharaj, on this question of being satisfied and happy in Krishna consciousness, how does one cultivate that? Because somehow I don't know whether it's my nature or this is just Krishna's way of pushing me forward. But even if I've given a nice class and so many people have said nice things, after a few hours I think, oh, I didn't say this, I didn't say that, I could have done that better. And then again I think, oh, I didn't do so good. Or yes, just yesterday one of my clients was telling me I made so many breakthroughs, thank you so much, etc., etc. And I see, yes, it's Krishna's mercy. Somehow I was able to speak something. Krishna gave me intelligence, so I've been able to help you. And I do feel a little satisfaction, but it's only for a little time. Then again, I think, oh, but I should reach more people. I should do more. I mean, there's never any peace for me. I never can feel satisfied or happy because I always feel I could have done so much better.
But that's okay. That's good. That wanting to do better is bhakti. That's fine. If you're trying and you're helping others and people are responding, well, obviously Krishna is pleased by that. If you're pleasing Krishna, you'll be satisfied.
But it doesn't last for long, Guru Maharaj. That's my problem. I've always
No, don't try to make it last for long. Just keep serving. Krishna consciousness is not about trying to be happy. Krishna consciousness is trying to be service, trying to serve. Not about your happiness comes not by your own endeavor, but by the mercy of the Lord.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
Just try to serve and you'll be happy. Don't worry. Don't think about your own happiness. Think about the happiness of others. Thinking about how to make other people happy. That's our program. Yeah, Prahlad Maharaj says, if you want to be happy, do one thing. Give up the desire to become happy. That's a straight statement. Because we don't really know what happiness is. Or we know that devotional service is the platform of happiness. But we simply serve. That's try your best to serve. And try your best to serve according to the instructions of the spiritual master. If you're serving outside of the instructions, then you may also miss that happiness. If you're not clear what to do, ask.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Any more questions or comments, devotees? Yeah, Revati Mataji.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji. Yeah, Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for the very nice class. So, Guru Maharaj, I just wanted to ask about the sense gratification. As a devotee, like sometimes like we do want to like do some recreation. Is that like sense gratification means like, does it related to only 4 regulative principles, or like, is it okay, like as a devotee have to have like, sometimes you want to just go out and just do like, close to nature and all that. Is that also sense gratification?
Go close to nature, but bring your friends and have kirtan out there.
Okay.
The warm weather is good. We can go out and have a kirtan outside. or bring some prasadam, have kirtan, sit around, and then have some prasadam and talk about Krishna consciousness with each other. You don't have to do it in the house or in the temple. Go to the beach, go to the parks, go to the scenic environments, and do the same thing.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah, so we can do book distribution over there, like that kind of. Yes.
With distribution, you can do chanting.
Mhm.
3 days to go out every day when she was in America to all of the hippies around the area where she was staying, and just give them prasadam and do kirtan.
Mhm. So if we are not doing that, it's a self gratification, Guru Maharaj.
If you're acting for Krishna, that's devotional service. If you're acting for yourself, that's sensual.
Mm. Okay. Yes, Guru Maharaj. So it's like every step we have to watch out, and we have to not do anything like for ourselves. Like everything
Well,
is.
just follow the process. That's all. If you're doing the process of bhakti, then you're doing it for Krishna.
Mhm.
Sing, dance, eat, associate, worship. Just like we have this retreat coming up in Govardhan Eco Village in the very end of November. So we're bringing all the devotees to a holy place. Everyone can sit together, enjoy nice prasadam, a completely spiritual environment. But what are we doing? We're doing the same thing. We're singing, dancing, and discussing. But we do it now in a place that is, spiritually impacted with a lot of good energy.
Mm. Okay, Guru Maharaj.
Or go to the holy places. Visit the holy places.
Mm. Yes, Guru Maharaj. After coming to this Krishna conscious, we are getting so many opportunities to attend retreats, and Krishna is showing us a different way to have a recreation, and feel very happy and blissful in this association.
There's one thing you'll find that every devotee will agree on, that there's never enough time to do everything we want to do in Krishna consciousness. It's never like it's boring. What am I going to do? Not like that. There's just not enough time.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Is it okay? I have one more question. Can I ask?
Yes, Mataji, please go ahead.
It's about happiness. Guru Maharaj, you mentioned like if you're not happy, that means you're in Maya. So sometimes, like in devotional service, also, we don't feel happy. Like, we feel like, we are not really doing a proper service or anything. Like, something as Sridevi Mataji has mentioned, like, we always have that unhappiness. So how do we know that we are in Maya, or it's just like
That's spiritual unhappiness. That's another form of happiness. That's unhappiness. Unhappiness is frustrated desires. We're trying to serve Krishna, and maybe we feel we haven't served to the best of our capacity. So, because you served, because you tried, that's good, and that brings satisfaction. But then the devotee will think, "Oh, I could have did better. If I would have thought of this, I could have added that to the program. I didn't think of that." So it's just like fine-tuning your devotional service, where when the opportunity comes again, you don't make that, you don't neglect doing the other things you wanted to do, or you move some of the things. You're always trying to fine-tune, make it better, make it nicer, make it more devotional. It's like in deity worship. Sometimes in deity worship, you always think, How can I make nicer decorations? How can I cook more nicer prasadam for the gurus? How can I, what else can I do to improve the quality of the worship? So that's not unhappiness. That's just a devotee's spiritual anxiety, which is good. Spiritual anxiety looks like unhappiness, but it's not.
Yes, Guru Maharaj.
Teacher of bhakti, spiritual anxiety.
Okay. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Devotees, any more questions or comments? Maharaj, I don't see any questions. So if there are no more questions, can we end the call here? So it's almost over the past.
Yeah, tomorrow I won't be able to make it. I have a doctor's appointment at the same time.
Okay.
So I won't be able to make it tomorrow. So, yeah.
And Shyamaka Mataji is asking about Thursday. You are not available on Thursday, so which day?
Monday, Tuesday is okay. Wednesday may also be difficult. I'm going to try. Depends. I'm flying into Switzerland on Wednesday.
Okay.
And I get there before the class. I think I can set up the class in due course of time and be able to do it on Wednesday. Thursday is Balaram's Thursday. I won't be able to do it. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I have a full schedule in connected with the activities of the temple. So I'm not sure what the schedule is. Sunday for sure, probably next Sunday for sure, I won't be available. Friday and Saturday, I still am not sure. Next Thursday and next Sunday also will not be.
Okay, Maharaj. So then I'll tell her that it's not possible for this week, or I think Monday, Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Maharaj. I'll find out with her and I'll let you.
Yeah, so Wednesday, I think I can make it on Wednesday. Shouldn't be a problem. It'll be close because I have to get to the from the airport to the temple in time and set up the class. Let's see.
Monday, Wednesday is Balram appearance day for us in US.
Well, not here in Europe. Europe it's Thursday.
Yeah, for us here it is on 30th.
All right, I can do something turning around Balaram on that day.
Okay, Maharaj. I'll inform her.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you so much.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you so much, dear devotees. We'll end the call here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you all.
Thank you very much for today.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Haribol. Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Hare Krishna.